Hello and welcome to That Man. That is me merchandise, and this is One Piece Volume 2, Buggy the Clown. Now, thank you very much if you've been following my adventures with One Piece so far. This is only Volume 2, but Volume 1 got a pretty decent reception. So, this is my reread through of One Piece, and I hope you guys will at least join me on my journey. Now, first things first, there will be some slight spoilers. My intention is that this is a reread rather than a new read, and yeah, I'm aware of stuff that's happening currently, so I probably won't spoil it, like say, oh this happens, but I might say, oh well, that'll come back to haunt us. So just be aware of that kind of thing. Also, shout out to Alonzi, who is now starting his One Piece adventure. You can check out his stuff right probably here. He did an unboxing of the first 23 volumes of One Piece, the Viz box set, which I thought was pretty darn cool. So yeah, it's always exciting to see new people get into One Piece, because you can kind of look over their shoulder and just be like, yeah. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, well, well, that's going to be important, remember that bit. You just kind of like, yeah, it's just so exciting just to see people enjoying One Piece. When you're looking back on it, it's a fantastic journey, and yeah, brilliant. And again, if you haven't seen part 1 of this, please do check it out. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, most people already know what's going on, but oh well. So, this will be covering chapters, where are we? Chapters 9 until chapter 17 of the series. As we all know, that's basically a drop in the ocean, but oh well, we're still going to do it anyway. So this is Volume 2. In fact, it doesn't say Buggy the Clown on this, it just says East Blue. I think they just kind of merged all of the arcs into kind of one thing rather than having the individual titles. I'm going to have to do my research to kind of remember what this is, what the actual titles were. Yay! So this is the majority of the Buggy the Clown arc, and in my personal opinion, this is when One Piece stops being overly goofy, stops being a little bit childish, and starts becoming a real classic. In my opinion, overall in East Blue, it kind of is hit and miss, it's kind of up and down, it struggles to find its feet. Once we kind of get to Arlong Park, that's in my opinion when the feet are firmly placed down into the series and we kind of have a glimpse of this is what's going to happen. This volume, this arc is still kind of very much the yo-ho-ho a pirate's life for me kind of fun kind of thing. Even Buggy the Clown, he's an overly goofy looking character. In fact, he's quite sinister. It's one of those weird things, again, spoilers, Buggy the Clown does return quite a few times, and he's one of the more prominent returning characters. At the moment, he's kind of a joke character. He's a bit of a gag character, but he's doing great things, and yeah, it's weird when you kind of see it's like this is like overly serious, it's like he's overly sinister, but then when you look at it, it's just kind of like, oh, it's just Buggy. And yeah, I love that kind of transition. One of the first enemies being kind of like important for the whole series, but then it's kind of just like, it's just Buggy. I beat him years ago without being able to do anything. Don't worry about it. So this is, I would say, this is when we start getting the feels backstories. One Piece is very well known for having some really tragic backstories, and yeah, we did cover on Luffy's and we did cover on Zoro's a little bit, but they were kind of just like, oh, she fell downstairs. Okay. This one, in my opinion, this volume has the first kind of very much feels the one where you might feel a little bit more emotional, and that is with Shu Shu the dog, which is, it's kind of just a retelling of Hachiko the dog, or if you're in the UK, you might know the story a little bit more well known for Greyfriars Bobby, and that is the story of a very loyal dog where even when its master dies, it never gives up, it always kind of stays in the same spot, and this comes very much into this series. It's very much about treasure, We get a lot of references in this one about people's treasures. Luffy kind of mentions at the beginning, he's like, oh, my hat, this is my treasure. And then comes back with Shu Shu, where his treasure is the companionship with his master, is the pet shop they ran together, and everything like that. And it also comes back later on in the volume with Mere Boodle, where his treasure is the village that Buggy the Clown has taken over, and is kind of well, like you say, he's taken over, he's just kind of destroying it. It's like, we made this village, that's my treasure. And that's one of the things that's kind of weird about it, is that a lot of the characters have different ideas of what the treasure is. This is one of the things that's reinforced when we kind of said One Piece. People are kind of like, what is the One Piece? We don't really know. We know it's a physical object. We know that it's not going to be the friendship or anything like that. But we already have very much established in this that people's treasures are something completely different. To each person, it's a different treasure. So Luffy, it's his hat. Shu Shu, it's his pet shop. Mere Boodle, it's his village. It's quite weird when you kind of look at some characters later on, where you kind of wonder, what is their treasure? And it actually makes a little bit more sense when you come to other characters. We see, this is one of the things that pops up a lot with Nami. We don't really know what her treasure is until a little bit later, but we start and get inclinations in this volume. She's like, I hate pirates. Pirates just destroy everything. And she's like, I want to save up and buy a village. Pirates took away the most important thing to me. It is stuff we will cover, well, in a few weeks' time. Well, a few months' time. Going at this rate. But, yeah, we don't know what their treasure is. Zoro, we know, or Zoro, we know is... his treasure is his swords, his relationship with Kuina. It's kind of stuff like that. But then when you kind of look at other stuff, what's Robin's treasure? And that makes more sense when we see her backstory. Chopper's treasure makes more sense when we see his backstory. So some characters are more kind of, this is my treasure, this is my thing. Other characters are a little bit more reserved, and we kind of understand their treasure as things go along. But it's one of those things that I thought was very interesting when they kind of revealed it, where they kind of mentioned it, oh, my treasure, my treasure, my treasure. So yeah, I thought that was a rather interesting way of going about it with the way One Piece has done it. I really do enjoy it, and I do like that way of framing things rather than just being kind of like, this is important to me. We kind of have an idea that everybody's treasure is different, which puts a very big question mark on what the One Piece Goldie Roger's treasure might actually be. So also with Volume 2 of One Piece, like I said, we get to see the majority of the showdowns between Luffy's crew and Buggy the Clown's crew. We get a nice setup of Buggy the Clown taking over this small village, this small fishing port. And he's just kind of there. We don't really see much of why Buggy's kind of done that, but we do know Buggy has a map to the Grand Line, or at least a map of the Grand Line. It's kind of vague in how it does it. It's mapped to the Grand Line, I believe, because it's, yeah, spoilers, stuff later on. There is no map to the Grand Line. How could you have a map to the Grand Line? So yeah, that's kind of a major thing in this kind of thing. Nami's just like, I'll steal a map of the Grand Line, or a map to the Grand Line. I'll go to the Grand Line and steal things there. And yeah, so yeah, good luck with that. And yeah, it's one of those things that it's kind of like, you kind of start seeing seeds being sown in for later on in the series. This is when we kind of, I think, Oda realised that this was going to be a thing a lot bigger than what we've got. And maybe that's just me looking at it now. We see stuff like Neo-Latian, Hell Warden Higuma, where they kind of get to 20 chapters and then they're kind of like, well, that's it. One Piece kind of went for, like, I think it's like 11 volumes before it even gets to the Grand Line. That's more than a lot of series are going to see. To put that in perspective, by the time they get to the Grand Line, that's like the first major turning point in One Piece, but it's also the first major turning point in My Hero Academia, which has only had 23 volumes. It's about halfway through Assassination Classroom, which was a big series. We now kind of have a scale of how big One Piece is going to be, and the stuff Oda's kind of pulling out is kind of like, yeah, we're going to be in here for the long haul, and we kind of see this already. We start to kind of see hints of that. So, Buggy the Clown, the arc, it's a bit hit and miss in my opinion. We kind of see Luffy and Zoro get handicapped pretty much straight away. Luffy gets trapped in a cage because Nami tricks him. Nami's very much kind of like, I'm not going to team up with pirates, and Luffy's just like, be my navigator. We do get that kind of headstrong, kind of arrogantness of Luffy at this point, and I really do enjoy the kind of way they portray Luffy in this light. He's just kind of like, well, I'm going to get what I want. And I really do like the way they kind of do that. It's a nice change because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of anime, a lot of series kind of just have people just like, have the kind of idiotic character. Luffy's not stupid. And one of the things that Luffy kind of says to Nami, he just says, oh, I don't like pirates, and he just goes, yeah, I understand, you've got your reasons, I don't want to hear them. Again, something that pops up and is quite interesting, because when it does come to Nami's backstory, Luffy's just like, yeah, I'm going to take a walk. I don't need to know this. I know you're in trouble. That's it. And that's one of the things I do love about Luffy, is that we see a lot of stuff in his eyes. We see a lot of stuff in his emotions than we do in his words. Again, we come back to Shu Shu, the dog. The dog that sits because his master's told him, while I'm away, you are in charge of the pet shop. So that loyal dog guards the pet shop. And it's not when Moji, one of Buggy the Clown's underlings, and his pet lion, because he's a lion tamer, because Buggy the Clown's crew are all circus themed, of course. It's not until they destroy the pet shop. And Shu Shu does a really good job. He is a loyal guard dog until the end. He's a loyal dog. He protects that pet shop. And we see the pet shop be destroyed. And this was the scene where I knew One Piece was going to be amazing. We just see Luffy go up. The dog is barking at the pet shop on flames. Luffy stares at it. And he's just like, we see so much in that one panel. We see everything that Luffy is thinking in that panel. And it's a beautiful, it's an amazing panel. Oh God, I'm even feeling emotional just thinking about it. Dog stories always get me. But yeah, it's like Luffy beats up the villain, beats up Moji, and it's pretty much a kind of just like, it's not a long drawn out fight. It's literally 2 or 3 attacks. It's like literally, it's just like, you're doing this, I'm going to do this to you. And he just gives the dog the remaining pet food and just like, good dog, you did well. And to me, that was when One Piece became an amazing series. There was a lot of stuff in beforehand that I was enjoying, but that particular chapter to me is when I just went, this is the series for me. This is how One Piece is for me. And after that we get Kabaji versus Zoro, which it's not a bad fight. It's kind of a weird one. Zoro gets stabbed because Buggy has eaten the chop fruit. He can just remove his arms. He can chop his body into slices, so he can't be cut. It's interesting because we start to see like devil fruit powers and being like quite interesting, how they can be varied. We've got a gum man and we've got a chop man. And yeah, they're both completely different, but they both have their own things. So Buggy stabs Zoro, Zoro fights Kabaji. who is like an acrobat, and we already see some interesting fights. This is one of the things I love about One Piece, is that it's not kind of like, I have a gun, my power is ice. It's not kind of like that. You get to see a lot of inventive stuff, and look at this compared to some other series. The first one, or one of the first major villains, is clown themed. The clown, the main boss, can separate his body into other things. He's got a lion tamer as a rare underling, and he's got an acrobat as an underling who uses swords and spinning tops and all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah, that's inventive. I love that. So, Buggy the Clown Volume 2 is, my opinion, when One Piece becomes a classic. To other people, it won't get to stuff like Arlong Park, but reading back, I'm reminded of why I loved One Piece when I first got into it. Volume 1, there's a lot of issues with it. It's kind of like, Volume 2 is when you kind of just go, I love this series. So, if anybody is reading One Piece, give it 2 volumes, at least 2 volumes, because this is one of the things that people kind of see, is that they kind of see, oh well, yeah, it's like you can read up to here, you can read up to here, and then people are like, well, I read up to there and I don't like it, and it's like, yeah, two volumes. If you're not hooked by after the Shu Shu one, if you don't feel anything from that, the thing is as well with One Piece, you've got to also remember that it is now 20 years old. A lot of series now have massive hooks that dig into you at the very beginning for the first 2 or 3 chapters, and then kind of just go, right, I've got you, right, we'll just kind of build up. This is the problem I had with stuff like Hell Warden Higuma. It hooked me in at the very beginning, and then it kind of just fizzled out quite quickly, and yeah, it might have been building to something, but yeah. Neolithian kind of did the same as well. It hooked me in, and it kind of, then it got really good, and then it got cancelled. And a lot of series seem like they're kind of doing that. There's the big major hook, try and read this, this is why you need to read this, and then it's kind of like, yeah, but then we'll do this, and then I'm like, okay. So yeah, One Piece is kind of like, I feel like it's kind of a slow burner. It kind of just goes like that. It's like a roller coaster, and that's the main way I kind of describe One Piece, and to someone who hasn't seen it, it's a roller coaster of a series. I personally see it's so worth reading. This is when it gets good, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. You guys, let me know what you think. If you did enjoy this, if you like One Piece, let me know. Let me know when One Piece became great for you. I'm really interested to find out, was it around the same time as me, or was it kind of later on? Was it when it was like Arlong Park? Because for me, Arlong Park tends to be the one everybody says. That bit in the anime where they all have the march onto Arlong Park. I can't wait to read. That's 10 volumes time. But yeah, that for most people, that's the bit. The march onto Arlong Park is the bit where people just go, that's when One Piece sinks in. But let me know in the comments when One Piece sunk in for you, when it became an amazing series that you had to get into. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for coming, and thanks again for staying. Goodbye.